You're listening to Planxty, a podcast exploring the rich tapestry of Irish dance and the community who loves it. Hosted by Julia Topper, ethnomusicologist, Irish dancer, music educator, and writer, and Kristo, a 20-year Irish dance dad, live camera director for FeisTV, and operations manager at the Celtic Junction Arts Center. Did I tell you that my flight home was canceled?
No, you didn't. Oh no, why?
So it is what it is. So I flew Sun Country, which is is based here in Minnesota. It was just purchased by another company, so who knows where the headquarters are now. But anyway, it is sort of the vacation, like the spring break airline. Hence Sun Country. They fly to Mexico and California and Florida, and it's reliable, lots of flights. Yeah, I can say reliably lots of flights. And this happens. So we board and we taxi out and we're taxiing and then we stop and we're stopped. And then they come on and say, there's this piece that's not working. And so we're assessing right now whether we're going to fix it or replace it. And so we're taxiing back where we can plug into power so that we can keep you air conditioning on and keep you nice and cool and comfortable. Oh, dear. Okay, so we go back and we plug in and we're all sitting there. And then they come on and say, we're going to have you get off the plane so that you're not sitting here so long. And I should have just started looking for alternatives at that moment. But then they strung us along. I suppose they were, in truth, looking at it and seeing what they could do. And so they send you this voucher for $15 that really doesn't get you much in the airport. But, I got a sandwich. And then another voucher came in. Sorry, this is taking so long. And then a voucher came in for a hotel. And I'm like, uh-oh.
Oh boy. Yeah.
So I walk back to the gate and I see the flight attendants leaving. And I'm like, this isn't good.
Yeah,
this isn't good. And so then I go talk to them and find out that so then free hotel, free transportation to and from,
That's
I had
good. That's good.
Nice
At least it's all covered. Yeah.
Wings from a place in the neighborhood and just sort of relaxed, which was kind of nice. But I did
that's good.
miss my family. So one extra day. But anyway, I made it home. It was fine.
That's good.
It was fine.
I had been a little nervous because I was flying out of DCA and this was right before July 4th with all of the, Independence Day celebrations and things like that. And I had originally, I was competing Kaylee on Saturday and was originally going to fly out Friday morning. And then they announced that there was going to be, this very long ground stop at DCA because of all the flyovers. So my flight had gotten changed. It was supposed to be like a direct 2-hour flight and it turned into like a 10-hour flight with 2 different stops. And I was like, nope, we're not going to do that. So I canceled it. I came in a day early and kind of the same. I was like, well, I'm going to treat it as a vacation. I'm coming in a little early. I'm going to chill out. And that's what I did. And it was lovely.
Yeah.
And the airport was kind of nuts when I came back in because I think there's just so many people in DC, around like the state fair and all that sort of stuff. So it was, the airport was a little nuts, but the rest of the trip was actually very easy and good. So
that's great. That's great. It was fun to get together in person again. And it feels like, I don't know, we see each other a lot, and it's been an okay stretch of not too long in between, but now it's probably going to be a little longer. But yeah, it was great, and it was it was fun to hang out with you on your solo competition day outside, chillaxing a little bit. So
it was nice.
And congrats!
Thank you.
It was kind of fun to see.
It was great. I was really pleased. I came in 12th in the adult category, which I was thrilled. I think in the last couple of years I've been kind of like middle, like upper 20s, something like that. So I was really pleased that I almost got into the top 10. It was very close. So that was great. I was thrilled with that. More importantly, I was thrilled with my performances.
Yeah.
This was one of the first times I felt very nervous. I felt more nervous, I think, than I have getting on stage for a major in a long time. But once I was actually on stage and dancing, I was actually very relaxed. I felt like I was present in a way that wasn't going to throw me off. I was it was a good flow. Like I actually really feel like I maybe have hit a turning point in my performance. Knock on wood, I felt
Yeah.
really good. And it was kind of cool to see that reflected in the scores. I got some of the highest, like, first and second round scores that I've gotten at nationals.
Oh,
Usually my scores are like, they're enough to get me a recall, and then my set's very good, and my set, like, brings me up quite a bit.
sure.
But this was actually, I actually got some, I got like a top 10 score in both of
Oh,
my first rounds, and like, yeah, I was thrilled
oh,
about it. Yeah, it was
that's
great.
great. That's great.
Yeah,
So
yeah, it
so
was great.
let's talk like we've talked with people on the podcast before. So why do you think you were nervous going into it? And talk about,
Mm,
you mentioned the flow and that you felt better on
yeah.
stage, but like what happened in between that nervousness and then getting on stage? How
Well,
did you reset?
I think
Or
the way
oh,
I prepared was different. So no, go ahead. Yeah.
no, I was just going to say, or is that nervousness part of the ticket? Like, is that the
Probably.
fuel for you?
Yeah.
Then once you get up on stage, to do it
Yeah.
differently. So, but I don't
I've
want to put words in your mouth.
yeah, I've had, like, because I've been performing a long time. Like, as a kid, I was doing professional performances with piano. Like, my my piano teacher when I was 9 or 10, I think, would bring me along with my parents, to bars in Buffalo, and I would play with his jazz band. Like, so
Wow.
it was a very cool like, I would get that sort of experience. I played for Epstein Blue with an orchestra when I was, like, 11. Like, I got to do a lot of performing as a kid, especially in high school. I was performing and doing professional gigs, every week, if, something like that. Um, and I always had, like, a healthy relationship with my nerves as a kid. I never really thought too much about it. And when I got into college, something shifted and I was in a
Mm.
performance program. And all of a sudden I would get these experiences where I would get on stage and literally it would feel as if the stage was tilting beneath my feet, and I would be playing and I would have these, like, crazy out of body experiences where all of a
Wow.
sudden I was seeing the whole piano in my hands and my body, and it was not good. It
Wow.
really, yeah, it was really bad. I had to, I went on what's it called? Propanol, I think,
Okay.
to help bring that down. My dad's a yoga teacher and a meditation teacher, and he would do different breathing techniques with me to try to help me kind of come back into my body, which did help. But I ended up even, like, I failed a qualifying recital because I got on stage and just forgot the music that I had been working on for a year. So, like, this has been something that I've been working on for a very long
Yeah.
time. And after I left college, I really stopped performing because I needed to take a break from it, and felt no desire to play piano again until, I mean, other than teaching, but not really actually until I got into fesh music and started having this interest in, I started doing piano lessons with Sean, and that was great. But I had hoped that those nerves wouldn't come back when I started doing feshes. And at first they weren't. I was like, "Oh, I'm just doing this for fun. This is great. I'm doing it for my research." I would just kind of get on stage and have a blast with my friends, and it really wasn't a big deal. And then I think when I decided I was going to start taking it more seriously, probably about 10 years ago, all of those issues came back with a vengeance. And I had to figure out, like, I actually had to sit with myself and figure them out in a way that I had never sat and figured them out before. And I found some really good resources. Actually, there's a book called The Brave Athlete, which I highly recommend
Okay.
to everyone listening. It's great because it goes through all these different types of strategies, from in the moment performance nerves to preparation. If you're the type of dancer, or maybe your dancer, you might recognize them in this. They're the dancer that either always runs out of electrical tape right before they're supposed to walk on stage and has to borrow it from someone else, or they're fixated on something to do with their costume that isn't completely unrelated to their performance, or they're
Hmm.
just getting, like, hung up on a lot of other details that aren't necessarily relevant, or they're finding they're unprepared or things like that. This book walks you through how to solve a lot of those issues and how to, learn how to retrain your focus. It's a great book. It covers a
Wow.
lot of different things. So I used that initially. That helped me quite a bit. I think I had a pretty good stretch of time where I seemed like I was having a healthy relationship with my nerves. I didn't really have any issues performing. And then last year, and I know you remember this, Kristo, when we were at National Harbor, my lovely daughter decided to stop sleeping and I
Oh, that's
still
right.
don't know why. And honey, if you're listening to this sometime in the future, I'm throwing
Yeah.
you under the bus. This was your fault.
Yeah.
I felt bad for the kid. I think she was sick and we were traveling, and I think
Yeah,
that
it's
there was
hard.
just a lot of and the fascias are super overstimulating. Whatever. She just stopped sleeping. No
Yeah.
strategy we used worked. I think
Oh, God.
it was worse than newborn phase, and it continued well after nationals too. Like we had a solid month where I think we were
Wow.
getting maybe 3 hours of sleep a night, maybe.
Yep.
And I thought I had been doing okay with it until I got on stage for my hornpipe, and my brain was just like, no.
No.
It was
Oh,
too
my
much. I think
God.
the sleep and the nerves, and it was like a
Yeah.
perfect storm of things. And I
Right.
just made up half my hornpipe, and
The power of
and
improv.
yeah, my friends were like, "Well, you did that. Let's not do that again."
Right. That just happened.
That just happened, and I ended up doing fine. I didn't think I had recalled. I somehow recalled with that. One of my teachers was laughing, and she's like, "I don't think I've seen anyone's set pull them up 20 places before," because I think I was in like 46th place, and then I did my
Wow.
set, and it pulled me up to like 26. I was like,
That's
"Oh, okay."
great.
But I think the specter of that has been hovering over me for the last year,
Sure.
and I was finding in classes. I mean, I started at a new school, which has
Mhm.
been such a good experience, but it's also very different from anything
Right.
I've experienced before. I'm with Kavanaugh Porter Academy, and it's a big school, and the classes are real big. And, it's been a really good challenge working through all of that. But, I was doing dumb stuff in class. I was forgetting the steps that I had learned.
Yeah.
And, I was doing dumb stuff pretty much consistently every week. The 2 fascias that I did before nationals, I just, I was like, I had 2 rhythms in my first step and my second step that were very similar. And so I messed those, I would like flip them around and, just doing like things like that.
Yeah.
And so I think the thing, I know this is getting a little long winded, but I
It's
think
all
the
right.
things that finally kind of brought it back to me was that I started meditating again, which my dad had been saying to me
Awesome.
so many times. And Dad, I know you're listening. I'm sorry I didn't listen. I don't know why I don't listen. I can't help it. It's biology.
Right.
We're
Right.
trained not to listen to our parents. I don't
Yeah.
know. So I started meditating again, and I found there's this great package. So there's an app called Headspace
Yep.
that does guided meditation, and they have a sports series, and one is on competition. And so it's a guide. It's like a 10-day pack. I started doing it immediately, started feeling the results of this. I was doing it like after I got to the studio. I did it in the car before I went in for my warm up, and my body was just so much more relaxed. It was remembering that all these stories that we tell ourselves as we walk up to the stage, as we walk up to do our dances, as we walk up to perform, are just stories in our head, and we need to not be listening to them, whether
Right.
it's like positive self-talk or negative. And it had you pick an object of focus to come back to. So I actually picked the inside of my wrists because I'm
Hmm.
supposed to be focusing on my arms being down and touching my body anyways. So
Mhm.
I kept trying to bring my brain back to that. And every time I felt like I was engaging in that self-talk, like let it come in and out, I acknowledged the thought, come back to my object of focus. And that worked really well. Like even on stage, I had a moment in my treble jig where I just became a little too aware of everything that was going on around me. And I
Yeah.
just came right back and finished it without any issues.
Wow.
I felt very relaxed. A couple of my friends said that they'd never seen me so happy on stage before. And I felt like I
Great.
actually performed it the same way that I do in class. Not to say that that's perfect. And I think
Mhm.
that letting go of idea of a perfection on stage helped as well.
Right.
Um, so the
Right.
meditation really helped. Yeah,
And to
sorry, go on.
have it feel
Yeah.
like it is in class where you're not competing,
Yes,
where
which
you're
I've
just
never had
focused
that experience
like
before.
that.
Usually I
That's
feel I'm always like, "Oh,
huge.
I can't do it the same way on stage as I do," because I know I'm getting tense and I know that everything's not
Yeah.
coming out the same way. My
Wow.
sound was better than it usually my sound starts to go in my third step. My sound was actually pretty good almost all the way through. Maybe like the
Yeah.
last like 4 bars I could hear it was kinda going, um yeah, like really good. And so like the meditation really helped. I think that was like that mind training that I
Yep.
needed.
Yep.
And also all the things that I learned from Scott Doherty, honestly. Like, I worked with him for a few years, and I didn't explicitly work with him this year.
Mhm.
But all of those lessons, I think, were kind of coming back and settling in. And so I think that kind of long-term work really helped. But I texted my teacher, Scott Porter, at one point, and shout out to Scott because he's fantastic. And I texted him after one class where I just kept doing dumb stuff again. And I was like, hey, I don't know what's wrong with me. Like, do you know, like, what can I do? And he was like, yeah, you need to not try so hard. And I was like, what? What do you mean? No one's ever told me that before.
Yeah.
Normally it's really try hard and always try harder.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, I need to not try as hard. And he said, yeah, you're over dancing. You need to just you need to come back a little bit and you need to trust your training.
Oh, yeah.
And like that phrase, again, this is something people have said to me in different ways before, but the timing of it and the phrasing of it just clicked. I was like, oh, yeah, because I don't really trust myself right now. That's not a good thing to trust. I trust my teachers and I trust this process. I can see the school's very successful. There's a lot of really fantastic dancers. Clearly what we're doing in class can translate well on stage. Like, I just need to trust that that's going to work for me. And so I did. And I think a combination of all those things just really clicked. So yeah, I feel pretty good about it. Like, knock on wood, like this is going to continue. This is obviously not the end of this journey. I'm always going to have to work on my mindset. I'm always going to have to I think the meditation is just going to have to be part of my daily life. You know, my mind will run rampant with stories otherwise. But I feel good about it. And you're going to kind of laugh about this. So listeners won't have heard this episode yet because this episode with Katie Grennan, she's coming out next month. But she talks about, there's a competition at a fesh near where I live called Nation's Capital Fesh. And she talks about there's a special where you go and you play an instrument and they record it live and then you get up and you dance to it. So I was feeling so good about performing that I went and signed up for this competition next week. And I was like, oh no, what have I done?
Now what are you
literally haven't played live in front of people in probably 15 years on piano. Wow. I've recorded myself a few times and I play for my students, but that's it. So I'll report back. I'll let you know. I got extra brave.
I can't wait. I can't wait to hear about that.
Yeah, I'm going to do a little slip jig. I'm going to play one of Francis Ward's compositions.
Nice.
It's called Wards. It's one of my favorite slip jigs.
So
I'm going to play that and get up and do some soft shoe with it.
Wow.
So I'm excited. So the journey continues.
That's so cool. That's so cool.
I'm excited.
Oh,
really good.
Man. That's great.
Yeah. So
that's great.
You know, I hope people kind of can get some tips from that if they're feeling their own nerves or, you know,
Totally. I think so. We should say that this episode of the Planxty podcast is not sponsored by Headspace. Julia paid for the subscription with her own money.
Yes. That's all me. Yes, but I do recommend it.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. I've tried Headspace as well. It wasn't the thing for me at the time, but you've mentioned it to me a couple of times, and I might.
There's something about like the guy who started it. I think his name is Andy. Mm-hmm. He's a monk, and I don't remember where he's from. I think he might be Australian. His voice is very soothing, and there is something about his way of delivering those meditations that tickles my brain and just keeps me in the moment. So
that's great.
It works great for me. I really like them.
Well, I might give it a go. Might give it a go again. I'm trying to do more of that as well. It's a strategy. You and I have talked about ADHD, and it's one of the strategies that I think is helpful there. And I was thinking when you were talking about this sort of change in your in the resilience that you had as a younger person, and that changed as you got older. Yeah. When Hannah was 9, I think she was in a play. She was in Miracle on 34th Street. She was Susan, the main little kid, great. Which was awesome. And I asked her at one point, I said, how do you manage your stage fright? Because she just would go out there and just be herself. Hannah, how do you manage your stage fright? And she's like, what's stage fright? like she had why would she be afraid? This is just a thing that she does. And, it's just sort of, in it without any other reason to have other ideas in her head.
Sure.
Like that's, and I think that the older we get, the more reasons we find to get in our own way. So I certainly I've seen that in my own performing and have had issues with nerves as an actor on stage, and I can't remember if I've shared this with you. It shouldn't be all about this, but I hadn't been in a play in a long time. I was in a play called Arsenic and Old Lace, and I was playing Teddy, which is just a plum role. It's just a great, great character role. And in the very first scene, the lights come up, I'm sitting on stage, I've got a teacup and saucer, and I'm supposed to pick up the cup and take a drink. And when I picked up the cup, my hand was shaking so much that there was this clatter of the cup and saucer. And so I just like backed down. I didn't take the drink, and I just thought to myself, dude, this is going to be really bad if you don't get your act together, And so then I just kind of went inside. I didn't have to do anything, demanding right off the bat, and I was able to kind of regain my composure. But I had no forethought going out on stage that I was going to feel that way. Certainly rehearsals hadn't felt that way, but there was something about opening night. The curtain goes up, the lights come up, there I am in this clatter of this teacup, and I'm just like, oh, okay. I gotta do this differently. And I hadn't had that in my younger years as an actor and a theater student and all of that stuff. There's a lot of ways we can get inside our own heads. And kudos to you for working through.
Thank you.
And having a breakthrough. I'm not saying that you've solved all the problems, but certainly you have a process now that has worked for you. And I hope that you can continue to repeat that. That's really cool.
Thank you.
So good.
I felt really good about it. I also had a really good Kaylee experience. I mean, I always loved Kaylee, and it's fun. My good friend Mary Kate was on this Kaylee with me, and we had been assistant teachers at our last school, and so we never thought, she danced as a kid growing up, fabulous dancer, and she has come back as an adult a few times to do Kaylee's, and so she was on our team, and we never thought we would get to dance at a Kaylee together, and I was a little nervous. We got on stage, and I turned and I looked at her during the square. And we just turned and looked, and she had the biggest grin on her face and just was like loving life. And it made me love life. And so, we're all turning, we're all facing each other at different points. And we all just you could feel all of our energy pick up and just get into it. And there's some great action shots that we got. And there's one with me and Mary Kate. We're holding hands, and we look like two friends just like skipping through a field of flowers, and like our hair is flowing back. It's just fabulous. It was great.
It should feel that way.
Yeah, it was good. It was really good.
That's awesome.
We had a great 8-hand experience. Yeah, it was really good. It was really good.
Awesome.
I was really happy.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's so good. That's so good. That's great.
How was all the FeisTVing?
Well, yeah, it was. I mean, it was great. It was great. I would say, it was a unique setup. The structures that we built were similar to what we brought to Worlds. So these big truss systems that have 6 winches on them and take 6 guys pulling chains to lift the whole thing up, to the height that it needs to be, and fly the backdrop, and the big screens for the award stages. So it was a ton of infrastructure. But then once it was up and running, and then the other thing was this connection between the 2 awards halls that were not next door to each other and not connected in any way. So Cormac primarily, and then James, another guy on the team, had been scoping out what kind of technology was going to enable 2 awards halls in 2 different locations to go onto one live stream seamlessly.
Wow.
And the solution was something like 1,000 feet of quad fiber optic cable, so that we could send audio and video so I was on Hall B, and that's where the live stream hub was. And so that when we were doing awards on our stage, it could be the sound and picture would appear in Hall E, and then Hall E would take one of their shots, and I would take my feed from Hall E, and then Hall E audio and video would come into Hall B, and they would do the awards over there. And like lots of effort and mental anguish, like this is all supposed to work.
Right,
and we had time to
right.
set it up and test it and get it going and all of that kind of stuff. But this was new for us.
Right.
And so, but like the team is so capable, and particularly Cormac and James, when they get their heads together to develop some technology that's going to solve all the world's problems. For the FeisTV viewer at home, that instant where we went between stage B and E, all of that, 1,000 feet of quad optic cable and all the extra equipment and all the thinking and the finger crossing, it just happened in the blink of an eye. And that's what it's all about. Like that's
awesome.
what we, strive to deliver every time. It's just this experience that's not only great for the people in the halls, that in Hall B they could see E and E could see B, and it was just like this one big, awards presentation. But that the people at home watching, all over the world, just had no idea that it was any different.
Awesome,
which I thought was really cool and particularly proud of. So, but we ended up having a camera pointed on each of the stages. Backstage, there was a camera pointed on the camera director. So that was me. And then on the other stage, it was Sean or it was Liam,
Remember you showing me a picture of this.
Swapping in and out.
Yeah.
So there was a camera and then a little monitor. So we could see each other and communicate. And then there was a microphone and a speaker. So we could talk to each other. And just make sure that we were handing it off. And it's kind of funny at the beginning when we were getting this set up, Cormac is great at being sort of the foreman of the whole thing. And he said, and then Kristo, you're going to need to train us all on how the switch is going to work. And I'm just like, I'm going to train you guys on something that I haven't done yet. Okay. I guess that's how we're doing it. Okay, sounds good. But it ended up being like we just figured it out because that's what we do. We have all of this technology at our disposal, and
cool.
It was really cool.
That's awesome.
I'm pretty proud of the team. It was a lot of it was a big physical task. All of that. Truss and those winches and the equipment is super heavy and it's just tons of it. It was 2 box trucks that were full
wow.
that came and went with all of that stuff. So, but everyone made it home, and
that's great.
Some folks had some time at amusement parks, and I had an extra night in a hotel because of my flight, and it was all good. Yeah, it's all good. It just felt so good. It really, I thought, I think that everything went really well from our perspective. So,
and I saw. So one thing that you guys were kind of experimenting with were for just a couple of the set rounds, doing this follow camera.
Yeah.
Right? So I've seen some people have been posting sets from, with the follow camera from FeisTV. And it seems like the feedback is good. I know some people, I saw someone like in a comment saying like, oh my gosh, I love this follow cam. So it seems like that's been a hit. So that's been pretty cool. Speaking of technology.
We did try, we'd been talking about doing this for a while. And so we tried for 2 days, a couple of different ways of doing it, including having hand-operated cameras and using a camera that had an auto follow on it so that it wasn't camera operated. It still had to be sort of monitored and managed by an operator. And so, but that was kind of cool. That was successful as well. So we're just sort of experimenting on, it's cool. Just some innovation is happening. Not promising that that's going to be a thing that's going to become a regular thing, but we've been talking about it long enough that we thought, okay, well, we've got an opportunity here to try it out for the sets for a couple of days. So,
that's very cool.
I'm glad. Yeah, it's kind of fun to see those videos. Everybody knows that people are, screen recording, and
shaving and saving everything
but at least those, they don't have to manually.
They're not zooming in.
And follow
the
each other
quality
around.
is much better. Yeah,
it's nice. It's nice. So
and it's just what a gift for the dancers to have. That recording of them dancing, right?
Yeah.
Because for so many years, the recordings haven't been allowed. And, I think there's one, one of my first teachers, he had one video of, and I think he won his Oireachtas like 3 times or something like that. And there's one video of him competing. You know what I mean? And it's just kind of a bummer that, didn't have all those, those things. So it's, he's won like Parade of Champions, video or something like that. So it's just such a gift to have that for the dancers, and I'm sure the parents are thrilled to have that. And
it's fun.
It's
and
very
those
cool.
the Parade of Champions dances are fun to cover. Those ended up on my stage, so I was camera directing those, and it is pretty. It's pretty standard the way each of the first place dancers comes out and they take turns and trade off. And so it's fairly easy to expect what's coming, but there's always something different. And then when we had the folks from Raglan Road come on and bring, have great music, and then those dancers came out, we weren't really sure what their choreography was going to be. So I had to just kind of go with the flow. But I say this, I think every year, but the people that work on FeisTV are, I don't know the business, completely, but I just always feel like they're just the best in the business for this thing.
Yeah.
Like they just get it. They understand it. They understand, who the audience is. They understand the value of what we're trying to do. As camera director, it's my objective to give everybody as much camera time as they can get during those awards presentations. And it's just this rapid fire camera 1, camera 2, camera 3, camera 1, camera 2, camera 3, like I'm just over and over and over again. But it was, it's a delight to me to be involved in FeisTV and help deliver this kind of stuff to people who really appreciate it. And we got so many positive comments too from folks. It's fun to walk around in the shirt.
Yeah. Oh, sure. Absolutely.
Get on an elevator and nobody says anything until then the mom goes to the kids, "That's FeisTV."
That's very cute. I love that. That's
cute.
great.
It's super cute.
Oh, I love that.
So it was fun. It was fun to do.
I had a fun time joining you guys for dinner after my solo competition on Monday, which was hysterical.
Hilarious night.
We went out to Hibachi, and I think it was funny. I didn't have enough time to get my wig off, so I was just like, honestly, it's going to take me like a half hour to get all this off. Like, I'm just going to go out. But there's all of you guys, like 14 dudes, all in your your tech gear and everything. And I'm like walking with this massive wig, and the chef looked at me, and his eyes just got so big, and he was like, "So what's going on here?" It was very funny, but the food was very good. And it was nice hanging out with you guys.
I'm glad you joined us. That was a great night and a good sort of decompress, in the midst of it. So it was nice. It was really nice
awesome
to do. So
it was really good.
Glad you were there.
Yeah,
good
me too.
Crack, as they say. Yeah. So here we are, 10 episodes into our podcast.
I know.
Which is pretty cool. Like that,
That's
I don't
awesome.
know. We didn't really mark it, on the 10th episode, but it's been 10 episodes, which is I just think that's kind of nice to mark. And
it's a good reflection point.
It is. It is. And it's fun to look back and see the themes emerge,
Yes.
that have come out. And we have filtered some of them. How do you want to talk about this? We haven't really talked about how we're going to talk about this. But,
do you want to just go through the list that we have, and we can kind of...
Sure.
It was like our top 5, right?
Yeah, so the top 5...
themes that came out.
Yeah, should we... Well, I don't know that they're ranked in popularity order.
Just 5 things that have come out.
Right. So should I read all 5 and then we can talk about them a little bit?
Sure.
So I'm not going to read the whole things here, but the gist of it is community as chosen family. So that's been a common theme. Mastery has no shortcuts. Mm-hmm. True.
Yep.
That the tradition is alive. It's not frozen. Mm-hmm. And we've talked a lot about music and dance as a felt language, which is super interesting. Like this groove or feel that happens between musician and dancer is kind of nice. Yeah. And we've talked about some tension between just the growth and popularity, but what is the image that's getting out there, and is it the true image of what it is? So, and those have been kind of the universal things that have popped up. So it's interesting. And 10 podcasts is not a ton of podcast information to draw these conclusions from, but it's nice to see those 5, I think.
Right, and it's interesting how they've come up pretty consistently, I think, or very naturally, I guess. And looking at, I guess starting with community as chosen family, this this is a big one for me. I think especially, I love the dance. I love the form of it. Love competitions, the ups and downs of it. But what keeps me coming back to class every week are the people that I'm dancing with, right?
Right.
And, uh, like I mentioned earlier, I changed to a new school this year, and that can be very scary. There were a lot of people there that I already knew, but you worry about that. Like, if am I going to fit in here? Do I belong here? What is that going to look like now as I'm training and getting to know new people? And everyone's been so kind and have made me want to come back to classes. What's great is that the classes are all ages. I train in the same class with the 9-year-olds and with the 40-year-olds, right? Like we're all like in every age group in between, which um I think is great personally. Like it is fun when you get to go to an adults only class, but we all learn from each other, right? I get
Hmm.
to see the 10-year-olds that are made out of rubber doing all these aerial tricks essentially and seeing how they're executing them, being like, okay, that's going to look different on my body, but I'm going to watch her timing of how she's doing that birdie and see how I can figure this out. So there's things like that. But then there's also forming these bonds with all these people with different life experiences, moving through different phases of their lives, which is very, very cool. And one thing that helped me a lot in the last couple of months has been my friend Tabitha. And we had been at the same school together, and she went to KPA about a year or so ago, I think. And we started practicing. We started doing like solo practices together outside of class like 2 months ago or something like that. And I've had just a blast. And I think our practices, we've ended up talking more than we have actually danced.
Sure. Sure.
But it made such a huge difference to me. All of a sudden, I was like, cool. Yeah. Like I have friends in the class and I knew that and everything. But all of a sudden, I had like a really like a friendship that was growing that I knew she was going to be there. We were doing largely the same steps. She was very like free with sharing with me. Like, she's like, oh, with this type of movement at this school, the style is this, and this is how you have to do the weight shift. And here's how I think about it. It took me 6 months to figure this out. I'm going
Hmm.
to save you the time and I'm just going to tell you how I figured it out and do it. And so it's coming back to people like that. And I was so thankful for her and her help. But, you know, having having that community is everything.
Yeah.
I think
I
it's just so important.
I agree. I mean, I think that, I there is this community of dance dads that
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
involved in, and a lot of those guys, are also involved in the heavy lifting for setup and teardown because there's Cormac and all his dance dads
Nice.
but it is something like think I don't take for granted. Like I think
Hmm.
that crew who's has the skills and interests and energies and talents to build those enormous truss structures and to run sound and to come up with the scheme of the fiber optic cable between the rooms. We sometimes look at each other like, what are we doing? But it always comes back to like, yeah, we choose this, we choose to be
Yeah.
together, we choose this in the dance dad world, this sort of brotherhood of
Yeah.
dance dads who have this shared experience, and we just love our
Mm.
kids so much
Yeah.
that, we just want them to have, we want this thing to be great, and so are
That's
willing
cool.
to kind of work at it that way
Oh, I
as
love that.
well. So it's yeah, chosen
That's
family for
really cool.
sure.
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting thinking about like one of the things that I spend a lot of time in my research thinking about is um kind of the flows between different locations. It- so I got this in a little bit of a longer explanation. There's a scholar named Ian Condry, and he actually does work on Japanese music, specifically
Mhm.
Japanese hip hop. And so that's how I found this person and his philosophy. But one of the things he looks at is something called genba, which is a Japanese word that means the place where something happens. So
Hmm.
pretty simple concept, but looking at how the space changes the activity, and then looking at especially when you're looking at something that's transnational like hip hop, like Irish
Mhm.
dancing, how do these different genba, these different focal points, how do those locations interact with each other and influence each other? So a lot of the things that I spend my time thinking about are what's happening with Irish dancing at a local level, at the school level, right? How is it affecting their local community? How are they interacting with local musicians? the dance families, all of that, and then how is that resonating and kind of in conversation with these transnational or these national competitions, right? Regional, national, international competitions, because what happens in one location is going to heavily affect what's happening in the local location, right? It's going to always have this give and take.
Right.
So I think, we have these local communities as our family that we spend 90% of our time with, but then we also, if we're lucky enough, we have this bigger community. I have friends in the adult group that, like there's someone, he comes up from Mexico and does all of these, and he's just full of life and one of the hardest workers that I have ever met. And I get to see him at competitions.
Yes.
And, I have friends from Ireland that I get to see. And, it's just, how cool is that?
Yeah.
And obviously you guys, right? Like the
Right.
only times that I really get to see you guys are at competitions. And I try to come to Minnesota. I try to, I've gone to Calgary to visit Sean. I'm hoping to get out to the UK at some point
Right.
to visit Sully. But, that's my chosen international Irish
Yeah.
dance family. I know,
Yeah.
the day I think it was the day I came in for nationals, and I was like, "Hey, I'm really nervous. I need to see you so I can calm down." And you came out, and I was like,
Okay.
"Yeah, I'm
Here we are.
good." And then I saw Cormac wandering
Yeah.
around in the corner doing something, and I was like, "Okay, yep,
Yep.
these are my people.
Yep.
I'm good.
Yep.
We're
We are our
We're
anchor
good."
points. Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, so good.
Yeah. Yeah, so
So
it's community
good.
on a lot of different levels.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the mastery point. I mean,
Yeah.
that's obviously has come up because,
Yeah.
we're talking to some people here, on the podcast that certainly have significant mastery, but also
Yeah.
that's what all the dancers are pursuing. That's what the young
Yeah.
musicians are pursuing.
Yep.
And I think I can't remember who. Maybe it's come out a couple of times, but you just have to love it. You just
Yeah. You do.
you can't force yourself to pursue something that you're not really in love with, I think.
No.
And so, I mean, you can, but maybe it's different.
Right. And
It's
it is,
different.
I think it is going to be different. I think we've
Yeah.
all seen, unfortunately, there's always going to be, in any sort of sport or performance art, anything, there are going to be um, kids that are maybe there because their parents are pushing it a
Mhm.
little harder than the kid wants to, for a variety of reasons. And, sometimes that's good. I honestly do think
Yeah.
kids do need to be made to do stuff that they don't necessarily
Sure.
want to do. I think that can be good. But it depends on the intensity and everything. And,
Yeah.
I was thinking about like piano competitions and how I never did them growing up. I was not a classical musician until I got into college, high
Mhm.
schoolish. And those competitions are all classical. But I knew a lot of kids who were forced to do them, and they were
Mhm.
very unhappy.
Yeah.
And it reflected, I think, and they quit as soon as they could, but it
Mhm.
reflected in their performance a lot of times. You could hear there was a mechanicalness, they were technically brilliant because of all the practicing and, everything that they did, but there was a spark missing to their music.
Mhm.
And I think, looking at Irish dance, you can see the people who are succeeding, and it's a lot of hard work, obviously, and
Mhm.
it's not all flowers and accolades and things like that
Right.
to get up
Right.
to the top. But the people who are really succeeding, I think, are the people who really love it and who
Yeah.
make the choice to love it, even through the hard parts.
Right. Right.
Um, yeah, and I think in that lesson of learning and practicing and, long-term goals, right? It's not,
Mhm.
you're not going to just start doing Vanishing Lake set dance on day
Right.
one.
Right.
And, it's going to take many years to get
Right.
your
Small
goals
steps.
met. Um, yeah. And I think that process, learning that anything that's worth doing is a process over a
Right.
long period of time, I think is such a valuable lesson.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I agree.
Yeah. We have Tradition is
Tradition.
alive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
is.
I've gone on about this so much. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's covered, but it's not without its need for curators, right? Like
Sure.
it's alive, but it's not, running on its
Yeah.
own.
Right. Right.
And so I think that
Yeah.
just these people like we were just talking about, these people who are passionate and love it. Maybe
Yeah.
they're not ever going to be great, but
Right.
they're participating in this,
Yeah.
in this, you know, tradition. They're in it for the community, like we said earlier. Like there's a reason people are involved, and we've talked about it, with our guests too. It's just like it's not always about competition. Sometimes it's, maybe you're never going to do a fesh, maybe you're never going to do a performance, but you still keep coming to class because, like you've been saying, there's friends there.
Right.
It's great. It's great.
Yeah.
So
you can walk through the studio door and kind of leave everything behind for an hour, right?
Right.
And
Right.
whether it's school or work or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's I think there's been a lot of memes on social media recently. I'm thinking particularly of the account World Medal Holder times zero. Ona, she's hysterical, and she has been made a lot of memes about this. Where it seems like anytime there's an article online about Irish dance, there's people in the comments like screaming about how it's been pageantized and it's garish, and so Ona does all these memes about like garish Americanized pageants, and it's been it's just awful, and it's very funny because you could spend all your time sitting in these comments arguing with people, and there's obviously no point to doing that.
Right.
But again, there's always a comment that's like, well, it didn't look like this when I was a kid. I'm like, yeah, of course it didn't. What looks like it? When you were a kid? Again, things change. They're not always going to be good changes,
right?
But there have been a lot of really good changes, right? It's always a give and take, and I just always think it's very funny.
Yeah.
I genuinely enjoy scrolling through some of these comments.
I do too. It's funny. It's funny. That's good stuff.
It is.
I like the felt language, the music and dance's felt language. Like that's I mean, it's not unique to Irish dance, but boy, it really. When we've had musicians like Francis, like Sean and Sully, we'll hear
Brian,
from Katie, like it's a super interesting collaborative experience. And without even talking to the other person, like you're having this conversation that then you don't get to sort of circle back on. It's super interesting to me.
I was thinking about, I think it was Sully at one point saying that, people will request, or maybe it was Brian, I don't remember who it was at this point, but they were saying, some people will come on, they'll request a certain tune, and will you play this? And they were like, well, I'm pretty sure they get up there and after the first 8 bars, they have zero comprehension because they're just so locked into the dance and everything. And I had that experience with my slip jig this year. Like the musicians we had started playing, and it was a tune I really like. I think it was a tune that Anton composed. I was like, I love this. And then I had zero. I was just like, and I was aware of it obviously, but I wasn't, it wasn't like the top thing that I was thinking about. But it does change the mood that, having that good music. I've read in some scholarship, it's called floor value. That makes you want to get up and be on the floor. It has that floor value that you want to get up and move. And it makes such a big difference, right? Just getting on and hearing your 8 bars and being like, all right, I'm ready to go. Let's do it.
Yep. From especially from a musician that's in the conversation with you.
Yes.
Not verbally, but just like,
right.
We understand that we're a team.
Yes.
Here for this moment, for this minute and 20 or whatever it is,
Especially when you get to the sets, because that's know what tune you're getting, right? I know I'm dancing the Blackbird. I know I know I'm doing the Vanishing Lake. I know I'm doing these things, and I think that there is a musicality to those sets and especially when you have a musician who really understands the music in the same way. It can really be an ethereal moment.
And I have to say, so 20 plus years as a dance dad, I've been hearing these tunes forever. I've been hearing a wide variety of musicians play them, and I have to say, because of this podcast, I am, after all this time now, listening a little differently to particularly the sets, which I just love.
Awesome.
I always love those.
That.
And I'll also confess, we're sitting backstage. It's the middle of the afternoon. It's been a long day. We've been up very early getting things rolling. And those sets are so beautiful, and the tempos are such that it does kind of just sort of rock me into this sort of calm space. I can't say that I've always stayed awake
Fair.
that's when the naps, like, it just
Drift
sort of rocks
off.
me to sleep. They're so
Yeah.
pleasant. But this year I've been listening a little bit differently and listening to trying to listen to the interplay between the lead instrument and the accompanying instrument, and it's been a delightful extra level for me to get into.
Awesome.
So,
I'm so happy to hear that. That makes me so happy.
Yeah.
It's I actually got a similar.
Always learning.
Yeah. Well, I got a similar comment from a friend that listens, where she was saying the same thing, that she was listening differently at the majors this year, where she like, after hearing all the interviews, she was like, yeah, I'm listening in a way that I didn't before. And
Yeah.
I'm thrilled.
That's cool. Yeah.
Literally, my mission as an ethnomusicologist has been fulfilled. I'm good. I can retire now. Good. Done.
What's the next degree? What's the next advanced degree now?
I promised Mike I wouldn't get any more academic degrees. So I'm not allowed to. Right. I promised. It took 7 years, so I'm not allowed
Hard to sneak one in on the sly.
I can get certifications though, so I can get my TC. I can do that at some point. I'm not doing it anytime soon. When I think my knees are in danger of giving out, then I'll be done competing. And then
Then you can.
I've already done all my grade exams. I'm all done with those. Next
time. Yeah, exactly. Got to get through those.
Yeah. No, those are done. I did my last one when I was pregnant with Sylvia. So that was, I was very proud of myself.
That's great.
That was an experience. Yeah.
Good for you. Good for
Went
you.
up and I did my King of the Fairies at speed. What was I dancing that at? 108. I don't know.
Okay.
Something like that.
Yeah.
I almost, and it was funny because my examiner was actually Russell Beaton, who I know, like he's, in this area. I've seen him at Feshes, all of that. So, he knew who I was, and he knew I was pregnant, and I could see him like, kind of like, he was a little nervous the last 4 bars. Like, is she going to do it? Is she going to do it? No, she got through it. All right, cool. Like, felt like he was rooting for me those last 4 bars.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah. No.
We've talked a little bit about global growth and colliding with, image tension. That's, I think that we need to just be mindful, of that. And, again, as sort of I mentioned earlier, like we're all curators,
Yes.
So we have an opportunity. I don't know that we have an obligation, but we have an opportunity to, to help it grow in a way that continues to be healthy and helpful for dancers and competitors.
Yeah. So. Well, and I think, there was an issue prior to nationals. I think maybe we haven't talked about this yet today, so it might be worth bringing it up briefly, where the Attorney General for Florida tried to get involved and tried to say that a young trans dancer who was supposed to perform, basically he was going to try to shut down the whole event. And I was very proud of CLRG and IDTA standing up for this dancer and saying, absolutely not. This is none of your business.
Yeah.
We are going to continue. Everyone is welcome to dance. So, it's one small example, I think, of the community standing up and making a decision of inclusivity. I was very proud about that moment.
Me too.
And I hope that continues. I think that's the sort of forward progress that we really need to continue to be mindful of with the organizations.
I agree. 100%. 100%. Yeah, I was super happy to see that. And I'm glad that you and I talked about it in the moment when it was happening, and are obviously aligned on it as well. And could put our small voice in the mix as well.
Yes.
It's just important. It's just important.
It is.
And it's not.
Everyone's welcome.
Everyone's welcome.
Everyone's welcome.
It's not about anything else. No. So good stuff.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, congrats on 10 episodes. Here's episode 11.
I think this is actually 11. But still,
this is 11. We've
done
10. We're reflecting on the 10.
Yes. Yeah.
It's great.
We did it, Kristo.
We did.
I'm so proud of us. We're going to continue to do it, right? We're continuing forward. Yeah.
We've got one in the can and another one that we're recording next week, and more to come after that. Lots of stuff scheduled. Yes. So
very excited.
So it's exciting, and I just want to say thank you to you for what you're. We're a team. We bring, as I've said earlier, differing gifts to the mix. But I just really appreciate doing this with you, Julia. You bring there's a lot of things that I know, and there's a lot of things that I don't know, and you bring a lot of light to the things that I don't know, and make me curious about. So I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Working with you.
Same thing to you. This has been a blast. I'm so fortunate to have your friendship, and I'm just so glad that we're doing this together. And like you said, we balance each other out really well. Yep. And I think we have a lot of really good things to come.
I do too. Yeah. And thanks to everyone who's listening and commenting. I heard from more people in Orlando than I ever have before that they're listening and enjoying. Yeah,
and same here. Thank you for all your support. It's been really, really, really nice, and means a lot to both of us.
Great to hear from people. Yeah. So keep listening. There's more coming.
Thank you guys so much, and we'll see you next month.
Thank you. See ya. Thank you for listening to the Planxty podcast. Our technical producer is Kristo Sween. Our managing producer is Julia Topper. Theme music composed and performed by Sean O'Brien. New episodes drop on the 17th of every month.